With her ailing mother's encouragement, she packed her 2 suitcases and moved from Colombia to an empty apartment in North Carolina. She struggled to gather her life before her daughters arrived, but she learned to wipe her tears and move on with her life. My guest this week is Maria Isabel Monsalve, who left her life as the dean of the School of Education in a private university to live in her dream country. As you will hear, her path to citizenship was bumpy, but after 13 years of struggling, she finally got her green card. In this episode, not only she talks about her journey, the struggles she and her daughters faced, but also the lessons she learned. And those that she teaches her kindergartners and both of her daughters, who are now a diplomat and a Harvard student. So go ahead, grab your cup of tea and join me in this episode of Empowering Conversations. Hello and welcome to the Empowering Conversations podcast, a place to get inspired, challenged, and empowered by stories of immigrants who build their success from zero. I'm your host, Mehran.
I immigrated to the United States in August 2015 as a visiting international teacher in North Carolina. Why I came to the United States? Well, I was having a rough time in Colombia. I was going through a difficult divorce, and my mom had been diagnosed with breast cancer several years before. She was the one who inspired me to leave because this had been my dream for a long time. When I was in high school, I came to the United States as an exchange student, and I lived in Connecticut for a year with a wonderful foster family. Since then, I learned that this was the kind of life that I would like to have. In my country, it's very hard to be a teacher and to be well paid. I taught English in middle school, elementary school, high school. I worked for many years in a private university. I taught English to graduate students, even professors. And I became an administrator and got to be the dean of the School of Education. And I had to work a lot. And I loved it, but it was too much work. So I decided to leave. I was lost in the shuffle of work, divorce, and my mom's illness. And I needed something new. I had applied several times to come and work in the United States, but I never decided to come. I also applied for a Fulbright scholarship, and I got accepted in Massachusetts for a graduate program, but I declined that opportunity too. So when these things came up in my life, I just said, well, this is the last chance I got. I got to do this. And even if my mom was sick, it was a hard decision to make, but it was the only chance I had to come and be away for 3 to 5 years, or maybe find a way to stay here indefinitely. So that's why I came, and that's how I came. And I remember it was very hard to come to this country, not having, a financial history, and I was not able to rent an apartment by myself or open a bank account or anything like that. But I was very fortunate to have a company that would help me do these things. I can tell you that I didn't bring a lot of money with me, and it was crazily difficult to start, renting an apartment, being in an apartment that was empty. And I just entered that apartment with 2 suitcases. And those 2 suitcases had all my life, all wrapped up. I still remember, and that was hard for me after having everything in my country, back in my country in Colombia. I remember that I wanted to take a shower, but I didn't have any towels or curtains. I wanted to cook, but I didn't have any pots or any things in the kitchen. I wanted to sleep, but I didn't have a couch or a bed. So it was crazily hard to start. And I had a car, but I didn't know where to go. So I had to, dry my tears and throw my fears away and say, well, I can make it. I can go and find a store and buy things with my tight budget. I'm going to tell you the truth. I started getting things from garage sales, like my dining room and things like that, because I had to put my life together before my daughters came to this country.
How long after you came, your daughters joined you?
My little one, she was 6 at that time. She came 2 months after I got here. And my oldest daughter came when she ended the semester, I think. She was studying at the university in Colombia, so maybe that was in 2006 sometime, after she finished her semester.
So about a year after you came,
Yeah,
she
yes,
joined you.
yes.
So you had some time to kind of put things together before your daughters joined you.
Yes, 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 yes. I had the time and I had my work, and that helps a lot. And you start getting to know people. In There are friendly people. There are people who are not that friendly, but you just get to know who you work with, and that's how you get to manage things. I guess it's like being socially active and meeting people is very important.
What were some of the biggest challenges for you at the time?
On a personal note, the fear of not succeeding was a terrible challenge. I was haunted by the feeling of guilt for not being there for my mom. When she got really, really sick, she had a relapse of her cancer and she died. Um, I felt like I had the responsibility to show her and to show the world that I was going to be okay and that I would try to do the best for my children. That's the way my mom had done things for me and my sister, because she was kind of a single mother. My dad left us when we were very little. It was a big challenge, to outgrow that fear and sense of guilt. The other big challenge was finding a way to be a legal person in the United States. I wanted to do things right, so I wanted to find a sponsor to become a permanent resident in the United States. So that was another challenge, finding the right way to do it.
How long did it take you?
Oh gosh, that was like 12 years, 12,
Wow.
13 years almost. Yeah, it was a long process, but it was one of those things you have to do in order to do it right. I think I gave up in 2013, maybe. I think it was the year. I don't remember. I guess it was 2013. The government shut down federal offices. And there was a problem with, money and everything. So they shut down the offices. We were waiting for a very important paper for our process, in order to come to Texas. And we had to go back to Colombia and wait until they reopened the federal system. Our house, our work, cars, all our belongings were in North Carolina, but we had to go back to Colombia for at least 6 months, because we had to wait. And there was a point where I was like, okay, well, I give up. We have to find a job here. We have to find a place to live. Our daughter has going to have to, study in here, and we're going to have to come back. So it was hard. It was hard to maintain a life in two countries at the same time. So I think I was ready to give up at that moment. I think my husband was the turning point to that situation, because he was always like, no, it's okay. It's going to be okay. And he just kept checking on the internet and checking and checking and checking and waiting for the right time to come back, until we finally got our papers back, and we could come back to the United States. But it was hard. It was a period of our lives that was really hard.
So this was 6 months that you lived back home when you were here for how long?
We've been here for maybe 8 years,
Wow.
and we
So
had to
you were
go back.
settled and then
Yes,
you had
yes.
to go back.
To go back, just waiting for one paper to be issued. But at that right moment, they shut down the immigration offices. So we were in a kind of a limbo. And the best thing to do, according to what the lawyer said, is just go back. It's been hard to just move everything around and start over. And now that you're saying that waiting for your green card, that was a very extremely stressing time, because my daughter was applying for college. So if we don't get the green card on time, then she would have been an international student. And oh my gosh, that would have made a big difference. It was hard for us, being teachers, to pay for those colleges. If she were to be an international student, we visited lots of immigration offices. We went back and forth asking for them to please answer to our case, because we needed her to be to feel assured that she was going to be able to go to college here in the United States.
Wow. Yeah, I remember the other day we were talking about it, that you took a flight with your family to Hallinger.
Yeah, we were looking for an appointment at any immigration office. They could give us an appointment at that time, because my daughter had to apply to college on a certain date. And the only appointment we could get was in Harlinger. So we flew to Harlinger for a 5-minute appointment. We talked to this person, a very nice man. He was so touched by us going all the way there from Dallas. And he was like, I'm just going to write that down here in the system, but I cannot really help you with this. But I'm just going to write that you came here to this office and talk to us, and you came to ask for the process. And we were like, oh, okay. And then we went back to the airport and flew back to Dallas. But at least we did what we had to do. I mean, we were kind of happy because we had an appointment.
Yeah, you at least talked to someone,
Yes,
as short as it was, just to hear that.
Yes. And we knew that the process was still going, and that we could at any moment become residents. So yeah, I think it made us feel better. We did what we had to do, and it was nice. And the thing is, we have taught our daughters that studying is very important, that you have to be responsible and do your things first, which are go to college, get your degree, do what you want, but do it right, do it well. So for my daughter, she was the valedictorian. So she was a really good student. That was really important for her. That was like her goal, to be able to go to a good college. And well, she could make it because we got our residency on time, just on time for this. So we were very happy.
That's awesome. May I ask which college did he finally went to?
She's sophomore in Harvard College.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
awesome. Can you
yes.
imagine losing that opportunity?
It would have made a big difference if my daughter wouldn't have felt like she got her goal of being a resident, and she would have gotten, what she wanted. It became a turning point to our family when we finally got that residency, and we could just say and breathe and say, okay, we're here. We can now settle down and do our things because we have worked for this.
If you look back to Maria, who came here in 2005, what advice would you be able to give her to make her life a little easier?
I would tell immigrants, and I bet they wouldn't understand at the beginning what I'm saying. I would tell them it's not going to be easy. It's hard to leave who you are, the way you think, and learn from a new country and new people and new ways to do things. I would tell them it's not easy, but it's always possible. I would tell them don't lose your hope. Things are going to be rough, but you got to be trying. You got to keep trying, and you got to be fighting for what you want, for you, for your family, and for your life. Because if we are not happy being who we are, we're not going to be able to help our family and the other people. So they have to keep trying, and even if it's not easy, don't lose your faith. This is a wonderful country and it's full of wonderful people. It is a country where immigrants come and bring a suitcase full of amazing things to share with this culture. So I think it's all about sharing. Being an immigrant is not easy, but if we have an open mind and we share our things and we teach our things to the people that are here and want to learn about them, um, I think we all need to respect everybody's language and culture and background to make this country a better place for all of us to live in it. I think we owe it to the kids, to the new citizens of the world. And I think we need to start sharing our life experiences. We need to learn from them much more than what we are already doing, because it looks like it has happened for us to come to this country and we just mingle together, but we really, really need to open up and learn from each other much more.
Maria is right. We need to listen to one another. We need to be less judgmental of one another's beliefs, practices, choice of clothing, nationality, accent, or what have you. And I'm not trying to tell others to be less judgmental of you. I'm saying you need to be less judgmental of everyone else around you. We can't control the world. We can't control what is outside of us, but we can, and we should start with ourselves. Imagine, just imagine a world that people could live with one another with more compassion, collaboration, and empathy for one another.
I'm curious, what are some lessons that you carried over from your culture that really helped you in your life in the States?
Okay, I think I brought many things from my country. I think immigrants bring a big, big suitcase full of amazing things from our own cultures. For mine, I think I brought the example of hardworking people, honest people. I'm saddened to learn that Colombians are known for stereotypes, but we're not really that. We are very honest and hardworking people, and that's what I brought: the love for my family and how much we love helping people.
Thank you for sharing that, because I think as we are trying to expand our horizon on different cultures, it's important to know that what are we known for, but at the same time, who we truly are as contributing individuals in the States.
And that's something I have learned along the way too. Is that when I watch movies and they show me something about a country, I always wonder, I'm not sure that's right. I gotta go and find a documentary or something and learn from that country, because I'm not sure what they're showing me in that movie is what the country is really about. You cannot be naive and think what they say is what it is. We have to go deeper and find more about countries and cultures.
That's true. That's very true. I always say, the news is not a place to learn about a culture. And
Definitely.
so is not the one or two movies that is made from a country. There's so much into it. And you're absolutely right. There's so much into it. You have to watch many, many, many documentaries in order to familiarize yourself with a culture. It's like somebody turning on a news channel and wants to understand American and American culture and American beliefs, right? It's going to be very one way and very narrow perspective.
Yes, of course, of course. It's funny because even when you go back to your country, they ask you if you are eating too many hamburgers or hot dogs. And I'm like, what? And it's like, that's a stereotype they have about the American culture too. So, because that's, that's what they think. Well, it's not like that. Media stereotypes are very, very wrong. So we have to accept that and know that we have to learn more about countries and cultures.
Absolutely. Now I'm curious, what part of your culture did you have to unlearn?
Well, being a perfectionist, we strive to do things almost perfect. That's not a realistic way of doing things. So I had to really fight the feeling of doing things that perfect. I learned from this culture that you have to strive for excellence, but if you don't do great, it's beautiful how they encourage you to do better. And that being better makes a difference. Like having the opportunity to do things better tomorrow, that makes a difference for me. I feel that I had to unlearn to do things perfectly because the stress was terrible. And it was not easy, to go with the flow and grow. So I think I like being able to grow more each day because I can do things better tomorrow.
That's awesome. Do you feel that perfectionism was from your culture, or was it just more of a personal?
Maybe my in my family, I don't know. Maybe in the region where I was born in Colombia, maybe yeah, maybe we have high standards for
Yeah.
everything. So at school, oh my gosh, at work, the way we do things. Yeah, I think in my region, being um, a perfectionist is something very general. It's a general thing.
I was doing some research on perfectionism, and it was talking about certain cultures as well having a higher rate of perfectionism, but there was no studies that were they weren't definitive.
Yes, and I really think it goes with small groups, not with a whole country or a whole region as such. But sometimes you can just have like little groups of people who kind of act the same way.
Who influenced your life the most, Maria?
Well, in Colombia, of course, my mom. My mom was a fighter. She was a very kind, sweet, tough woman at the same time. Here in the United States, my foster family, the family I lived with when I was an exchange student, the Sandels, they taught me so many beautiful things. They taught me kindness, the value of love and family. They taught me about organizations and getting things done. They taught me about courage to get what you want. And they were amazing because they showed me respect for people of all origins, cultures, and religions. They were so open minded. They are so open minded. They are just a loving family and they are amazing role models.
Are you still in contact with them?
Oh yeah, sure. We still visit a lot, and we. I talk to my foster sister all the time, and yeah, we're very close.
That's beautiful.
Yes,
So you have kind of like adoptive family here in the States.
I do, and I feel blessed because of that because they have always made a big difference in my life.
Yeah, absolutely. What is your dream, Maria?
Hmm. Oh my gosh, I don't think I have one. If that's okay. I have accomplished many things, but I have lots of dreams. I dream with watching my daughters being good citizens of this world, studying what makes them happy, being happy, having happy families. I dream of becoming a citizen in the United States. I dream of traveling a lot. I dream of retiring and still keeping in touch with the community, helping immigrants as much as I can. I just would love to be able to follow my students' paths, and watching them grow, and helping them in any way I can.
That's awesome. And as you were telling me about being a citizen, I remember the day that we became citizens, and it was a very touching moment.
Yes, it is a big, big thing for a family. I understand it perfectly because I know all the things we have to go through before being citizens. It's not the same thing just to be born in a place. This goes back to the time when I was an exchange student. I always thought, these people here in the United States, they don't know how lucky they are. They don't understand the amount of wellness, and I don't know how to say it, but they have so many things that are just given to them, and that we don't have in different countries of the world. And they don't know how blessed they are. And I am blessed because I'm here right now and I can, share the same things. But we know that there are many people out there in the world having a very hard time in different countries because of war, because of starvation and things. But I really think being a citizen of the United States, it's a blessing.
If you've been with us long enough, you know how much I focus on gratefulness as a way to create happiness. Michael Takamura, psychiatrist from South Korea, on our 9th episode talked extensively about the impact of gratefulness on our well-being. If you haven't listened to that episode yet, I highly recommend it. Also, our 8th episode was on perfectionism and ways to overcome it. It is a must if you are a perfectionist, come from a perfectionist family, or interact with one.
The other day, as we were talking, we talked about how the pandemic has changed the way we are teaching our kids. And I know we have many listeners who are immigrants. English is not their first language, and it might be a little more difficult for them to help their kids in this new setting. What suggestions or advice do you have, especially if they have younger kids?
My advice would be, please look at your kids, spend time with your kids, and help them with their schoolwork. Help can be given in many different ways. Maybe they cannot help with the work as such, but that's what teachers are for. So the first thing would be, get together with your kids and do schoolwork with them. And if you don't know how to do the work, get in touch with the teacher, because teachers nowadays need to communicate more with parents. So we both can work together in order to help the kid. We cannot waste a moment for our kids to learn. That's the biggest fear I have. If we don't help them well, they're not going to be able to learn as much as they should be learning in a school setting. Kids are at home. They are ready. So they deserve all the attention from parents and from teachers. I'm afraid if we don't give them the attention they need now, our kids are not gonna, and I mean my kids because I do work with bilingual parents and bilingual kids. If we don't help them right now, and if we don't communicate well and do our job, the kids are not gonna have the same chances to be as successful as students who are getting parental support at home. I would say we teachers are working all the time, and our parents need to communicate and work together with teachers so our students can really learn in this new way, which is online. This is a virtual way, and we need their help. Teachers and students need their help.
The other day we talked about this idea of triangle, how previously it was more of the teacher teaching the student, at the school setting and the parental support, as you say, volunteering or in different ways was important, but not critical. But now you mentioned that it's more of a triangle.
Oh, yes, yes. It is. It is a triangle now. And it has to be because, like, let's talk about the younger kids, kindergartners, first graders, they don't know how to deal with technology. And this is another difficult thing for some parents and some teachers too. Being able to form this triangle where the student is on one side, the parent is on the other side, and the teacher, for this system to work, we have to have a perfect working triangle, and communication has to be very good. Yeah, it is critical. It's not anymore something that comes as support from parents. Now it's a critical angle in this new way of teaching and learning.
You are working in a community that both parents work. It's not affluent neighborhood as we
Mhm.
talked, and you shared few instances where you realized the parents were working so hard, but then they were able to make the time for their kids as well. Can you share, the stories that you shared with me the other day?
Well, when we started working like this, all of a sudden we realized we had to connect with children in their homes. So the district distributed computers and hotspots so they could have internet and computers and everything. Some parents didn't know how to turn on a computer, how to use the internet. It was just starting from zero with some of them. So it was so cute to find out. And I say cute because you really think everything's for granted. Knowledge is for granted. Parents know how to turn on a computer. Parents know how to use the internet. No, it's not like that. It was kind of difficult and amazing that you had to teach a parent how to turn on a computer, how to connect to the internet, how to do things. That part was difficult. And the other part was realizing that parents were very tired when they get home. And there was a mother who really, really, really touched my heart because I was upset. The kid was not sending her work, great student, but I was not getting the help from the mother, and she was not sending her work back to me. I called her and said, yeah, you gotta help me. You really need to help me. And she just broke down in tears and told me she works on construction. She was working on roofs or something. And when she took the picture of the homework, I could see her hands in her clothing and everything. And I just started crying because I was like, I never thought this was so difficult for parents too. It's like you sit down here on a desk working with computers and the internet and sending out homework and homework and homework and homework and expecting parents to send back the homework for you to grade because that is your job. But your job is also understanding that these parents are struggling. So it was really tough for me to understand and to realize that I had to go back to that human being who was there feeling awful because she didn't know how to work with the kid. And we sat that night, we sat down and we talked and we just shared that it was being hard, but she could still do it. And I taught her how to take the picture and how to upload the picture up in the system so I could see her daughter's work. But it's the extra step we have to take as teachers to understand what's going on and to be human and help these people do what they had to do. So since then, that mother always got home and she always took the pictures of her daughter's work. And if she didn't understand what to do because she doesn't speak English, I could tell her in the evening what she needed to do with her daughter, and she could work with her daughter and send and upload her work. And everything went well, and we finished the year in a very successful way, and the kid learned what she had to learn. So it's difficult. It's difficult, but it's worth it when we really devote ourselves to being to doing what we have to do as teachers, and when parents are there and they're willing to do what they have to do because they're parents and they want their kids to be successful.
I see. So it's more of a understanding for both ends, both for the teacher and for the parent. Teachers are doing more than before, and parents have to do a lot
Than
more
before.
than before as well.
Yes. This virtual reality for teaching brings a lot of changes for the way things used to be. A parent could be out of the picture when we were in the school setting and the kid would still learn. But right now, we need parents to get involved.
You have two daughters. One is studying in Harvard and the other one diplomat. What did you teach your daughters to be where they are?
I teach them to strive, fight, and always find what they really want to do in their hearts. I teach them to be kind and strong at the same time. I teach them that they gotta be helping people. They gotta be looking for ways of helping people. They need to be sensible to what's going on in the world. And it's funny, but we have this thing that we do is like they have to have a plan A, but also a plan B, because plan A is not always certain. So we always say, okay, if this doesn't work, then we're going to do that. So having two plans, it's always a must in this house. They have learned to work hard and fight adversity. That's what I think I've tried to teach them.
Thank you again, Maria. This was an amazing opportunity, and I learned so much from you.
Well, thank you for having me, and I'm going to keep listening to the podcast and listening to the stories, and we'll be in touch.
In our last episode, we talked extensively about the research available on virtual learning versus in-person, and shared 10 tips to maximize virtual learning for your beloved children. We have faith that through your determination, planning, and the insights Maria shared in this episode and your personal research, you will enhance your students' learning. Because after all, our children deserve a better future, especially for those of you who are minority. As always, thank you for listening and sharing our immigrant stories with your friends and writing us a review. It is through stories like Maria's that we learn how others experience immigration. We learn from their life lessons, and we gain the courage to persist until we achieve. If you would like to interact with people like Maria, Azita, and many other guests that we have in this podcast, you can join our Facebook community. Simply search Empowering Conversations with a Z on your search bar. That's the place that you can ask the questions that I didn't ask. Your inspirations and the actions you take means the world to us. And I know I will see you and your friends in the Empowering Conversations Facebook group, where all of us can learn from successful immigrants, one conversation at a time.